It was supposed to be just another quiet morning behind the gates of Windsor. But by noon, everything had changed. Whispers turned into gasps. Cameras flashed. And for the first time in decades, the royal calm shattered. Queen Camilla, usually the composed figure of quiet strength, was seen storming out of the private council chamber, her face flushed, her voice trembling. Inside, Prince William, in tears. And just down the hall, Catherine, Princess of Wales, walking out in silence, leaving behind a crown that suddenly seemed heavier than ever. What happened behind those walls? What could drive a queen to lose control? A prince to break down and a princess to walk away from it all. Today, we uncover the day Camilla lost control. Crown throne, William in tears and Kate walking out of Windsor. Before we step inside Windsor's most emotional day, make sure to like, subscribe, and share this story with others who follow the royal family. Trust me, what you're about to hear is unlike anything the palace has ever confirmed or denied. Stay till the end, because the truth behind this emotional breakdown might just change how you see the monarchy forever. It started quietly, as most storms in the royal family do. Inside Windsor Castle, where every clock ticks with centuries of history, even whispers echo. For weeks the air felt different. Not tense, not yet. Just heavy. The kind of heaviness that follows people who are smiling on the outside, but fighting invisible battles within. At first, it was little things. Queen Camilla canceling small engagements. Prince William looking unusually distant during public appearances. And Kate, always the picture of composure, showing faint cracks in her calm, the kind you'd only notice if you looked closely. And people were looking. "Something's not right," murmured one staff member, later quoted anonymously. Everyone felt it. It was like walking on eggshells in Windsor. But the question remained. Why? Some said it began with the mounting pressures on Camilla. Being queen consort wasn't supposed to feel this isolating. She had fought decades for acceptance through criticism, scandal, and the weight of Diana's lingering shadow. But even after the coronation, after the applause and the photos, she reportedly felt trapped. Behind palace doors, she was still the outsider. Not by title, but by feeling. The media called her steady, experienced, the calming figure next to the king. But those close to her said Camilla often confided that she felt watched, not admired, judged, not understood. And that tension had only grown worse since the king's health scare. Sources whispered that as His Majesty's workload lightened, more of the public spotlight and pressure fell directly on her. Every misstep, every comment, every expression became fuel for tabloids and online critics. Meanwhile, William was struggling too. As heir, he was under pressure to appear ready. The future of the monarchy. But how do you carry that expectation while your father is ill and your family is fractured? Reports suggest that in private meetings, William was increasingly vocal about his concerns, not just for the institution but for his family. He worried about Kate's well-being. He worried about his children growing up under such scrutiny. And according to some insiders, he worried that Queen Camilla was taking decisions, or making comments, that strained the already delicate balance inside the palace. Some called it a clash of generations. Others said it was something far more personal. William respects her, of course, one aide said. But lately, it felt like their communication had broken down. He was emotional, she was defensive, and Kate was caught in the middle. Kate had always been the quiet bridge, the peacekeeper. Those who knew her said she was calm, empathetic, and deeply aware of how fragile the royal image could be. She'd seen what happened when private pain became public spectacle. But even the strongest hearts can grow weary. Over the past months, her schedule had been scaled back, sparking speculation. Some said she was focusing on her health. Others claimed she was simply taking time for family. But behind those calm palace statements, insiders described something more human. Exhaustion, emotional fatigue, and growing frustration over how internal tensions were handled. So when the fateful morning came, it didn't begin with shouting. It began with silence. Windsor Castle Anne's council room, where only a few select figures were invited, was supposed to host a routine family briefing. "Camilla, William, Kate, and two senior advisors.
"Did you know, Mum," he whispered, his voice barely more than air. "Did you know about her?" He brushed his thumb over the seal, still intact, though the wax had cracked slightly over the years. He didn't open it. Not yet. Instead, he sat back in the armchair by the window, holding it carefully in his hands. Through the tall glass panes, London lay asleep beneath the stars. The clock on the palace tower chimed softly. 1, 2, 3. Midnight had passed. He thought of Kate, sleeping peacefully in their room, unaware that something extraordinary had just been found. He could almost hear his mother's laughter, faint and far away, echoing through the corridors of time. And for the first time in years, William felt like she was there with him, not as a memory, but as something real. He closed his eyes and imagined Diana's voice, soft, gentle, reassuring. "She will take care of you, William, and you must take care of her." When he finally stood up, his fingers trembling slightly, he knew he couldn't keep the secret to himself. Kate deserved to see it too. Whatever his mother had written, it was meant for both of them. He carried the letter upstairs quietly, careful not to wake anyone. When he reached their room, the soft glow of the bedside lamp lit Kate's sleeping face. Peaceful, unaware of what was coming. He placed the letter on the nightstand beside her and sat there for a moment, watching her breathe, feeling the mix of fear and comfort only love can bring. Tomorrow, they would open it together. But for now, he just sat there in silence, a son holding the past, a husband holding the future, as the night at Kensington Palace wrapped around them like a secret too beautiful, too fragile to disturb. And somewhere, beyond time and space, perhaps Diana smiled, her message finally on its way to the heart she had chosen long ago. The morning light crept gently into the royal bedroom, brushing across the curtains in soft golden streaks. Kensington Palace, usually buzzing with attendants and early schedules, was unusually quiet. Kate stirred awake, stretching slightly before she noticed William sitting beside her, holding a cup of tea. His eyes looked different, softer, deeper, like he'd been carrying the weight of something all night. "Will," she whispered, half smiling. "You're up early." He nodded slowly, then reached over to the nightstand. The envelope sat there, faintly creased, its elegant handwriting visible in the morning glow. "Kate," he said softly, "I found this last night, in Mum's old chest." When she read the name, for Catherine, her breath caught. "Your mother wrote this." "She did," he said quietly. I think she somehow wrote it for you, even before we met." There was silence then, heavy and tender. Kate reached out, her fingertips brushing the paper as though it was sacred. Diana had always been a presence in their lives, not through a crown, but through her heart. The way she had touched people, spoken up for those unheard, and loved fiercely had shaped the very world William grew up in. And now, somehow, she had left words for Kate, the woman who had stepped into that world with grace, patience, and quiet strength. Kate looked up at him. "Should we open it?" William hesitated, then nodded. "Together." He carefully broke the seal, the faint crack of wax echoing softly in the quiet room. The paper inside was aged but perfectly preserved, delicate cursive lines written in blue ink. It began simply, "To Catherine, if you are reading this, then you are part of William's life, and therefore part of mine." Kate's eyes filled with tears almost instantly. William held her hand as he continued to read aloud. Asterisk, asterisk, "I don't know who you are or where life has brought you from, but I know my son. He will love deeply, and he will choose someone not because of titles or expectations, but because his heart tells him to. And I want to thank you for loving him when I no longer can. If you have found your way into his life, then you are strong. Life in this world, our world, can be cold and watchful. There will be days when the noise feels endless, when the duty feels heavier than the joy. But I hope you will remember that behind the palace walls, it is love that keeps us human. Please remind William of that, when the crown feels heavier than his heart." Asterisk, asterisk. Kate's hand trembled as she brought it to her lips. The letter continued, but neither spoke for a moment. Diana's voice, though written years ago, seemed alive in the room, each word carrying warmth and wisdom. William's throat tightened. He could almost hear his mother saying it aloud, her voice filled with both laughter and concern. He turned to the next page. Asterisk, asterisk, you will face eyes at what you, words that judge you, and expectations that try to shape you. But remember, kindness will always outshine the crown. Love my sons for who they are, not what the world expects them to be. William needs peace more than power, laughter more than loyalty. And when the world grows cold, I hope you both find comfort in each other's arms, not the palace gates. Asterisk, asterisk. Kate's tears finally fell, silent, pure. William squeezed her hand, his own vision blurring. She knew, he whispered. She always knew. There was a small pause before he turned to the final part of the letter, a few lines written in a slightly different ink, as though Diana had added them in a later moment. Asterisk, asterisk, Catherine. If you have children, tell them they are loved beyond measure. Tell them their grandmother believed in love, not perfection. And to you, my dear, never lose your gentleness. The world will test it, but it is your greatest strength. With love, Diana. Asterisk, asterisk. By the time William finished reading, neither of them could speak. The letter lay between them, fragile yet powerful, like a heartbeat reaching across decades. Kate leaned her head against his shoulder, whispering, "It feels like she's still watching over us." William nodded slowly. "She is. In every kindness we show, in every time we put love first." For a long while, they just sat there, two souls bound by the invisible thread of a woman who had loved too deeply to be forgotten. Outside, the palace garden swayed gently in the morning breeze. The same roses Diana had once planted bloomed bright beneath the autumn sun. Somewhere, the echo of her laughter seemed to dance among them, soft, tender, timeless. Later that day, William placed a letter in a small silver frame on their desk, beside family photos of their children. He didn't want it hidden again. He wanted it close, a reminder that love, when true, never fades. As they left the room hand in hand, Kate turned once more toward the letter and smiled. "I think she would have liked me," she said quietly. William looked at her, eyes glistening with warmth. "She would have adored you." And deep within the palace walls, where the whispers of history live on, the spirit of a mother seemed to rest at peace, her message finally delivered, her heart finally understood. Days turned into weeks, but the feeling of that morning never left them. The letter had become more than just words on paper. It was a bridge between the past and the present, between Diana's legacy and the family her son had built. William often caught himself looking at the framed letter on his desk. Sometimes, when he was alone, he'd whisper a quiet thank you to it, as though speaking directly to his mother. It wasn't grief anymore. It was gratitude. Kate, too, felt Diana's presence in small moments, in the laughter of her children, in the quiet kindness they shared when life became overwhelming, and even in the gentle way William looked at her after long days. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the palace gardens, the family gathered outside. George chased Charlotte through the grass, while Louis tried his best to keep up, tripping and laughing. William watched them, his arm around Kate, and said softly, she'd have been the most wonderful grandmother. Kate smiled. She's still part of them, Will, in the way they smile, in the way they care. That's her gift. He nodded. It's strange, isn't it? How love never really ends. It just changes form. Kate looked toward the horizon. That's the kind of love that outlives crowns and cameras. They stood there together as the palace windows glowed behind them, the same walls that once held pain and silence now filled with laughter and light. Diana's letter had done something no royal decree ever could. It had healed. It had connected generations, softening the distance between what was lost and what remained. In the following months, William quietly arranged for the letter to be preserved, not as a royal artifact, but as a personal family keepsake. He wanted his children to read it one day, not as words from a princess, but as wisdom from a mother who had loved with her whole heart. And when George asked, "Daddy, what was Granny Diana like?" William didn't talk about the cameras, the fame, or the tragedy. He simply said she believed in kindness, and she believed love could change everything. That night, as the palace once again fell silent, a faint breeze passed through the open window. The curtains moved softly, as if stirred by unseen hands. William looked up from his desk and smiled. "Good night, Mum," he whispered. And somewhere beyond time, Perhaps she smiled back, watching her son live out the very love she'd wished for him all those years ago. The legacy was complete. Not a legacy of royalty or power, but of heart. And so, Midnight at Kensington Palace wasn't just a story about a hidden letter. It was a story about how love, real love, refuses to fade. Princess Diana may have left the world too soon, but through that single letter, she reached across time to guide, comfort, and bless the life her son built. It reminds us all that the most powerful messages aren't shouted in front of cameras. They are whispered in ink, sealed with love, and discovered when the heart is ready to hear them. If this story touched you, take a moment to share it, not for the fame of royalty, but for the beauty of family, forgiveness, and the power of love that endures. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. Speech Balloon, what do you think Diana wanted the world, and Kate, to remember most? Your thoughts and kindness keep stories like this alive. Stories that prove that even behind palace gates, it's love that truly reigns.